Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Facebook Live. The notifications just went out, so we're going to wait just a few minutes to let people jump on. In the meantime, we really want to encourage you to ask questions, and we want this to be interactive. So we'll get you used to using your comments if you're interested. I'll give you a question. Let us know if you feel like it, how many kids you have, what ages they are, and then if you have a good movie recommendation or a TV show that you just watched that maybe will be good for everyone to see. So if you want to practice entering your comments, that'd be great. We'll see if we have any. There's just starting to come in. I actually have a good movie recommendation, Almost Famous. I listened to a podcast about the movie Almost Famous 20th anniversary, and we just watched it again. It's really, really good. So I recommend Almost Famous for everyone. And just to be honest, I have two kids who are 21 and 19. We see comments coming in about Gary on the Street. Yes, that is me. I'm wearing my Gary on the Street shirt. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, everybody, we're going to wait about 15 more seconds, 20 more seconds, and then we're going to get started. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, hello, everybody, and welcome to Facebook Live. Again, my name is Gary Carton, and I'm with Safe Kids Worldwide. And today we're really excited to talk about car seats and booster seats and how to use and install them correctly. Piece of cake, right? Well, luckily we have the two perfect experts who are going to be here to join us today. They're going to share experiences and inspire you to take action and to provide some really practical advice. We also, as I said before, really want to make this interactive. So if you have questions, I promise you other people are probably thinking the exact same thing. So please ask away, no matter how big or small, and we'll get to them throughout the program. And that's about it. So let's get right to it. Our first guest is Ali Landry. She is an actress and a child safety advocate. She's the co-founder of Red Carpet Safety Awareness Event. She's the co-founder of Reshape, a health and wellness platform. Just an overall incredible person who cares so much about kids. So Ali, thank you so much for joining us.
You guys, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. I mean, I have been huge fans of Safe Kids, gosh, since before my daughter was born, because you were the place that I always go to for all my information for the kids.
And you have 3 kids now, right?
I do. I was like, how old are my kids? I don't even remember. I think most moms can relate. Estella is 13. That blows my mind. How do I have a teenager? And then I have a 8-year-old and a 7-year-old. Wow. So, I really started on my journey with child passenger safety, really digging in when Estella was 3 years old. I was working on another project, and I had the opportunity to speak to a woman that had a really tragic event in her family. Like most moms, she was just trying to do the best. She thought her 3-year-old, it was time to move that child up into, it wasn't a 5-point harness. And she moved the child up to a different car seat, and there was an accident, and that child was ejected from the car. And for me, it just hit me because my daughter was 3. She was the same age. And I knew that mom was just trying to do the best she could. And I thought, like, that could have been me. So I decided I was in touch with you guys back then. And I thought, you know what, like, I have to figure this out. So I actually became a certified technician. I went to the class, found out that my car seat was horribly, like, it was totally improperly installed. Like, I did everything wrong.
Yeah, it happens to all of us.
I first bought my car seat to match my car, right? Because I was like, oh, this is the right color. This is going to look great in my car, right? I had this big puffy cover on the seat. I had all the cute little toys on it. I was using 2 different latch systems. I mean, everything was a disaster. And I thought to myself, like, if this is happening to me, then probably so many other moms were having the same experience. And I just felt a calling to start this conversation. And that's when I decided to launch the Red Carpet Safety Awareness Event, and just really, inviting celebrities and moms and everybody just coming to learn and make it a really fun family event to learn about car seat safety and start that conversation. And that was in 2011. And since then we've done 8 and we've worked with you guys all along the way. It's just something I'm really passionate about.
Well, you are awesome. You're one of those amazing people, I always think, because everyone cares about their kids. We all
Absolutely.
But there are some people who also go out of their way to make sure other parents have the information they need.
Yeah.
Their kids safe as well. And you're one of those people. And so we are so appreciative of that. And getting information to the people who need it most brings us perfectly into our next guest, who is Susan Johansson. And Susan is a child safety engineer for General Motors. Safe Kids and General Motors have been working together for more than 20 years to keep kids safe in and around cars, to get car seats to the people who need them most, to make sure everyone knows how to use and install those car seats correctly. So we are so appreciative of their longtime support. And Suzanne is a total hero. She's joining us from the Child Safety Lab at the General Motors Proving Grounds in Milford, Michigan. You can see she's got her mask on. So Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Gary. I'm really glad to be a part of the broadcast today. And I wanted to show you some tips as well that we have with child restraints.
Suzanne, that's so cool. I feel like we're getting like a behind the scenes look at what goes on at General Motors. I didn't even know that you guys had a whole department really dedicated to this. That's amazing.
Gary, I'm struggling to hear you.
No problem.
There you are.
Oh, great. Ali was just saying some very nice things about you that are better than I could have ever said. Just really appreciate all the work you guys are doing. And the fact that there's people out there, you don't think about it, that you just see your car seat, but you don't know there are people out there working to make sure the car seats are safe, that they fit perfectly in the car. And you're one of those amazing people. So we really appreciate your time today. We know you have young kids too, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so let's get started. Why don't you go ahead and let's get started. Today, we're really going to try, our goal is to provide tips for parents so that you can see that there are simple things that you can do even today to go out and make your car seat just a little bit safer, just make it sure it's installed just a little bit better, that can make a really big difference. So Suzanne's going to walk us through a bunch of those. And then Ali is going to jump in because she's a total pro at this too.
Well, I'll also tell you my mistakes. I have no shame because I made a lot.
Well, we've all made a lot of them. So yeah. I think between you and me, we could probably have a show on that for sure.
But we're here to prevent that for other parents.
All right.
Okay, we're ready, Suzanne.
Okay, Suzanne.
All right, Gary. So here we are showing you 2 infant carriers, one being with a load leg. We have for the newborn up to about a year old. And one thing I'd like to point out to everyone here is that the harness for a rear-facing child is to be at or below the shoulders, with the chest clip positioned right at the armpit height of the child.
So let's pause there, Suzanne.
And the second piece is walking into the convertible car seat here. The convertible car seat is what helps you keep your child rear-facing for an extended period of time.
Suzanne, can you hear me? No. Gary, you might have to translate.
Okay.
I just wanted to stop on that point that Suzanne said about where these straps need to be. I don't know. After I became a certified technician, I was like the car seat.
Gary, I'm unable to hear her.
No problem at all. As long as you can hear me. So Ali, you go ahead and keep talking, and then I'll, when there's a question.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is great information, and that's what's so great about live TV. We'll just. You're doing great. So,
welcome, everyone.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
We're training our whole lives for this, so we'll be good.
Exactly. So what I wanted to say was, after I became certified, I was like the car seat police. I was super passionate about it. And I was driving down the street and I look into people's cars and I see, the chest strap either too low. I'd see these straps like really loose, and I wanted to like horn, like pop, 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 like, excuse me, can you just like lift this up a little bit? I feel like that is one of the most common mistakes in the beginning that parents make. One, they feel like when the straps, I've heard so many moms say like, oh, my baby doesn't like it when the straps are too tight. Can you explain to us why that's so important, and also why we want that clip right here on their chest?
So Suzanne, Ali was just making the point about that these are such important things, and they're simple things. That's what I like about it.
So simple.
Really just adjust the clip to the right level and really impact the safety of your child. And the same thing with the straps coming from below the shoulders. But Ali was wondering, can you why that is? Why such an important difference?
Yes, because they're rear facing is the big difference. And I will walk you through on the forward facing child, the opposite positioning. But this helps hold your child in the event of a crash. So therefore they are not going to extend outside the shell of the car seat and be secured within this vehicle seat.
So you guys, I hope that makes sense for everybody at home. The looser that those straps are, the more movement that child is going to have within that seat. So you're not really having that full protection of the car seat and the straps that they're providing. So it's like one of the most simplest things. And I just hope parents really get how important it is, that positioning of those straps and the chest clip.
Great. And Suzanne, I know you were going to talk about how much it moves, basically the inch test.
Correct. Yeah.
That's one thing parents can look at real quick as well.
Correct. So there is two things here we're showing that I want the parents to see. So we have this infant carrier installed by Latch, which is called Lower Anchors and Tethers for Children. And that's using the anchors in the seat bite of the vehicle seat.
Okay.
No seat belt. Now, when you want to install by the vehicle seat belt, which is what this convertible car seat is using, we install using the belt path on the car seat, and then engage and pull out your seatbelt webbing to engage the retractor and lock off all the slack of your seatbelt. The inch test is the way to check to see if your car seat is secure. So you will shake this car seat, just move it slightly, about an inch. See if it moves side to side or front to back more than an inch. And if it does not, you have a nice secure fit of your child restraint.
And Suzanne, isn't it very important to do the inch test holding at the bottom of the car seat, like the foot area, and not at the head?
So the question was, Suzanne, we want to make sure, where should they hold when they're shaking the car seat to see if it moves more than an inch? Where should they hold it? At the top, at the bottom, in the middle?
Yeah, good point. It's always going to be right at the belt path itself. Never at the front edge of the car seat. Always at the point of where the belt is crossing through the car seat.
Great. Hey, this is great, Ali, because I can take credit for all your great points now, and she's going to think I said them all.
I'll give it to you. But I do have to say a funny story. Like, two different things. Like, one, when I would do an install, if you don't know where to grab to do that inch test, you could actually loosen up your install by grabbing it at the top. Like, you could lose like a really good tight install. Number two, for me, I mean, this was, again, I was doing it all wrong. But when you know better, you do better, right? Like Maya Angelou says. So when I had my daughters, so I'm pregnant, my first child, I'm like, I need this seat installed. Didn't even think like I should just figure it out myself. So I went to a fancy little boutique in Van Nuys, got that seat installed, and after we left the hospital, I felt like, oh, we did it. We're safe. I didn't know that I had to check that install every time I put the child in the car, especially with an infant seat where you're pulling that infant seat in and out and in and out. That's going to loosen naturally a super tight install. Just imagine, just like the wear and tear. So by the time I figured that out, I checked my base, and I'm not kidding you, my base could have done this in the car seat.
Wow.
So that was crazy to me, crazy.
Right.
And going back to also what Suzanne was saying about the seatbelt, if you're doing a seatbelt latch and retracting it back into the mechanism in the car, I always found, and I actually learned this from all your technicians at Safe Kids, because I'd see them do their installs. They were definitely better than what I was doing. But it's, again, you get so many great tips. Sometimes when you're just doing it with your hand or just pushing down and trying to retract that seatbelt in, you don't get like a super, super, super tight, a tight install. I've seen technicians, and this is where I don't want parents to be afraid to do this. I've seen parents get into that seat so it was as tight as it could be in the car, and then retracted that seatbelt in, and you had a super tight, amazing install. So don't be afraid, parents. Get in there and wrangle with it a little bit.
And Ali, I really like what you said there, and what Suzanne's point is as well, which is, so for the rear-facing car seats, when you say check it all the time, that doesn't have to be overwhelming, because parents have so much.
No.
I got to go to the store. It can be as simple as making sure the clip is in the right place, making sure the straps are in the right place, and making sure you're doing the inch test. You do that, you check it out, you're good to go, and you can feel really good that your child is going to be safer even with those corrections. So,
and I'm sure you guys have that on the site, like, for a new parent, 4 simple, checks before you take off in the car to make sure your kids are. I'm sure you guys have that. You have everything. So yes, it's, those little things that you just kind of check every single time. You want it to be second nature.
Exactly. Okay, Suzanne, you're up again. We're now moving from rear facing to forward facing. So here we go. I know that a lot of parents out there have more than one kid. And just to give an early plug, next week for Facebook Live, we're going to have very specific Facebook Lives on for rear facing and then forward facing and then booster seats. But for today, we're going to go through all of them and give you a few tips that you can use today.
Great.
Okay, and you're up.
Okay, so as I shared with everyone, the rear-facing strategy in our new Chevy Trailblazer, I'm bringing you over here to see the next phases beyond that. And this is a demonstration in one of our family haulers, the Chevrolet Tahoe. And I'd like to share with you that there is a 3-year-old here in the forward-facing child restraint. And this particular restraint, one thing I really think is important for the parents to understand is that there is a different strategy with the harness. So that harness needs to be at or above the child, much like the seatbelt that you wear in the vehicle. It's always at or above your shoulder. And again, that chest clip is centered on the chest bone at the armpit height as well. So we have installed it here with the vehicle belt, and the same mechanism as I mentioned to you about pulling all that loose webbing out and engaging that retractor to get a tight fit is very important.
I love that. Great. That's
great. Yeah, go ahead, Ali.
I was just going to say, I love a Tahoe too. That's a great family car, by the way.
Well, it's really also important because some of the tips that you're learning, we know that kids are going to be in car seats all the way up until they're probably 12 and in some cases. So the things that you're learning now when you're kids, you're going to be able to use throughout. And I also want to say, thank you so much to Lisa, who I know is filming. She's like Scorsese there, giving us. So I wanted to give her appreciation for all the work that she's doing, Suzanne. So thanks so much to Lisa. And so that's a great forward facing. And I know we're going to get to one other tip about forward facing in a second, but for now, you're going to move on to booster seats.
Correct. So here, let's go on to booster seats. And today we're sharing with you a 6-year-old child mannequin that we have. And this is using a high back booster seat. A booster seat is known as a belt positioning booster seat. So that is effectively its point of use. It's really positioning that vehicle seatbelt properly around your child. And many children of this age like to buckle themselves. So it's very important to communicate the proper strategy for buckling that seatbelt around your child so that they feel confident in doing it successfully themselves. And to do that, this lap belt is to always be low and snug on the top of the hips, touching the top of the thighs. And the buckle and the shoulder strap are under this armrest. So that's also extremely important that the child knows to do that. The shoulder belt itself routes through the center of the chest and to the center of the shoulder through the guide loop on the back of this high back booster seat. One more thing that's important is that the high back provides you some side impact protection and helps keep your child in position for longer rides within the vehicle.
That is so, I love what you said, because that gives parents like a really great understanding of the purpose of this seat. It is a seat belt positioning seat, right? Car seat. That's the goal of it, is to make sure that your seat belt is hitting the child in the correct position. That's always something that I use with my kids. My 8-year-old wants to be out of a booster. It's not going to happen. So it's not an option. So I keep telling him, I was like, the reason that you are in a booster is because it has to prop your body up so the seatbelt passes in the right position across your hip bones. And also it's going to pass perfectly on top of your shoulder. If you were just sitting on the seat, it's going to be going across the neck. And if mommy presses the brakes, what's going to happen with that seatbelt? So I always sort of, you got to negotiate. As you all know, parents, like you're negotiating with your kids and now in the car, like constantly. One other thing I ran across with let's see, it was a Stella. She was 7. She was still in a 5-point harness car seat, right? At 7. And I was the driver for a field trip. And she's like, Mommy, the kids only have boosters. And it definitely wasn't high back boosters. And I was going to be driving. And I was like, Estella, but and she was embarrassed that she was going to be in the 5-point harness. So I was like, how am I going to handle this? So when the kids got in my car, I shared with them, I was like, do you guys know about race car drivers? And all the boys were like, what? Yeah, they go so fast. I was like, yeah, I know. And do you know what kind of seatbelt they wear? They wear one like a Stella. They wear like a 5-point harness where it's going to catch them here and it's going to go over their shoulders because they're going so fast. And if there's an accident, they are like so safe. And then that conversation was completely over. Stella felt so cool. And I still use that with my boys. That's how I keep them in the seatbelt. It's like, if Mommy's going to go fast, we're going to be like race car drivers in here. We need to be like, we need to have that protection like a race car driver. And then the other thing with the boosters, another tactic I use, you're pulling them all out the bag. When they sit low, they can't see what's going on. So, we're always talking and look at this and look at that. I was like, okay, well, if you sit on the seat, you're not going to be able to see anything. You're not going to be able to see what we're seeing. So that was kind of something else that we use.
Those are great. Those are such great tips, Ali. And getting the car seat installed and used properly is one thing.
Yeah.
Dealing with the kids is another one. And I really like what you said. And you said this while we did do a rehearsal. And you said this, and I want to bring it up again, is you started doing this from the beginning. So it was a big, when they were 4 or 5, they were already on board. Can you talk a little bit about the advice and kind of a little bit more for parents out there and say, what's the best way to make sure kids are on board? You gave a couple tips already, but a few more in terms of your mentality for getting kids on board all the way through.
I mentioned a little bit of that quote earlier, but I'll say it again for all parents. Look, as parents, we are trying to do the best we can. We are to protect our children. And there's a quote by Maya Angelou, and it's do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, you do better. That is my motto in my life. So after I knew better, after going through the training and becoming a technician and then doing the car seat safety events, I had so much information. So for me, it was also just like having that conversation, not just with other moms, but with my kids, so they could really understand. Like even my own mother, she's in her 60s. She's like, Ali, you rode in the back of a truck in Louisiana, right? You hear that all the time.
No one ever hears that, right?
Yeah,
right.
You were in the back of the truck in Louisiana. I was like, and thank God there was not an accident, right? So I know better. I want to do the best for my kids. I try to educate them and talk them through the process as much as possible. And that really helps. And I also hear them, it's funny, I hear them having their conversations with their friends. I remember Estella, even at our events, she was helping kids like sit in their car seats properly, or they will tattle on each other in the car. Like, Mommy, Valentine is like this, in the booster, like he's not in the correct position. So it's just about like that open conversation. And again, I think for kids, it's the same. Once they know better, they innately want to do better. My daughter always knew, even for the older ones and parents, they get it, right? It's a constant, like you said, Gary, a constant negotiation with them. My daughter has always wanted to sit in the front seat, right? Always wanted to sit. She's like, Mommy, when do I get to sit in the front seat? When do I get to sit in the front seat? I was like, well, 13 is the recommended age, but it also has to be based on your height and weight. So, so many of her friends were sitting in the front like way earlier. And I was like, I'm sorry. Our house, Mommy knows, we're not even going to look into it until you're at least 13 years old. So this was the year. And I have to tell you, she sits in the front occasionally, not all the time. And I want to just put her right back in the back, you guys. It's too much of a distraction now for me. It's like she's, messing with the radio and everything. But, we're doing the best we can. But all these tips and information is so valuable. And it's such simple things. We don't have to overcomplicate it. It's so important for us to have all that information, the booklets, the pamphlets, the references, incredible, websites like what you guys have at Safe Kids. But if we can remember just those key little things, every time we're getting those kids in the car, it's a game changer for all of us.
That's a great point. And Todd, let's get back, because you're talking about the simple things that can make a big difference. And so, Suzanne, let's get back to you, because I know you have one more thing to share about the forward-facing seat and something called a tether that not many people. In fact, I Gary on the street shirt, and we did one on tethers, and we asked people what tethers were, and very few people did. So, Suzanne, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
You bet. Back in 2017, Chevrolet partnered with Safe Kids Worldwide to run a study on how well parents understand the tethering. And what we mean by top tether is this strap that's at the top back side of the forward-facing. You can find this on your convertible or your combination seat. So this, and it may even be on a booster seat. Be mindful of use this when you start going forward facing. And this is a very important part of the attachment strategy, just to make sure that the child's head and neck is secure in the event of a crash. And we have here, we're showing you in the back we have tethers in all of the rear of the vehicles, and they're clearly identified with this color contrasting label, as you can see. So look for this symbol in the rear of your vehicle. And some of the tethers will be easily called out for you. Be sure to secure that to wherever it is on your vehicle that is a designated place. And if you have questions about that, always refer to the instruction manual that comes with your child restraint. And then in conjunction, the actual manual that comes with your vehicle to find out where the proper anchorage points are.
That's so great.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, go ahead, Allie.
No, I was going to say, in the beginning, I was one of those parents. I didn't know what that top tether was. I just thought it was one more long strap that I had to tuck away. And then I realized I think once parents realize what happens to that seat if it's not tethered, that seat in an accident, if it's not tethered and held to the back, it's going forward and hitting most likely that seat in the front of it. And that's what we're talking about, maybe the head injuries. We have a Ford F-150, right? Love this truck with the back row where we have all the kids there. And I just want parents who have trucks, who have that and are, transporting kids in a truck with the back seat. There is that seat is up against the back of the truck. So you don't see that access like you do here, but that tether is there. So you just have to really do your research and find where the tether is in your vehicles.
And again, these are simple things. We want to make it, because again, there's so much going on. But this really just securing the tether is something a parent could do today. And it could make a huge difference if there was some sort of crash or something like that in the safety between a serious head injury and perhaps no head injury at all. So yeah, really great tips, one for each car seat that you're getting into. And again, Suzanne, we really, really appreciate all your incredible work and all the advice that you're giving and the work that you're doing behind the scenes that Allie and I, until we met you and talked to you about, would have no idea about. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to share it, and very pleased to provide a little bit of tips to the parents and caregivers today to make it a little bit easier for them to install and have some peace of mind with installing their child restraints.
Thank you.
We are going to get into a few questions, and then, but before we do, we know that next week is Child Passenger Safety Week, and that is we really want to inspire parents to check their car seats. So we go and give ourselves a checkup doctor every year, or you're supposed to. I still need to do that. But we want to do that with our car seat as well. And we know this is one of the options, but we know that there's so much going on with homeschooling and COVID. And so we've got a lot of different resources that's going to hopefully make this very easy for you. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And here we go. I practiced this, so hopefully it'll go well. And
Good job.
Thank you. If you go to safekids.org, which is our website, and the very first banners, there's a big banner. Jane, thank you for those great graphics. Child Passenger Safety Month. If you click on that, and then right down, you'll see all of these resources. Again, with so much going on, we have something for everyone. That we have amazing coalitions who are doing virtual car seat checkups or in person if it's appropriate, using social distancing. And you can click on the link and find a coalition near you and ask if they're either doing a virtual car seat checkup or an in-person one. We've got amazing videos with child passenger safety technicians that you can watch that will go through a lot of the information. We have, thanks so much to Chevy, we have the Ultimate Car Seat Guide in both English and Spanish. And this is an online tool that you have specific information about your child. and get really good information to make your car seat safer and install it properly. If you are interested in getting a little bit more involved, if you're inspired and you want to be able to point out some things that your friends or your family are doing, we've created a 45-minute online course that we're offering for free during the month of September that is really fun, and it goes really fast, but it's another way to just get a little more detailed information. It's kind of like taking CPR, the way I would look at it. You know, every parent could probably use this information. And then finally, Ali and Suzanne, you're so great for today for the Facebook Lives. We're going to do it next week with more specific Facebook Lives for rear-facing, forward-facing, and booster seats in both English and in Spanish. So go to our website and you'll see the dates for those. And I'm going to stop sharing now and go back to you guys. And
no, I just want to say, just for everybody, you know, for me, the Safe Kids website was invaluable in my first few years as a mom. And even today, I would find myself there, you know, a couple of times a week. In any question I had, I would go there and I would get the answer. And I think now you guys have so much more information because we were also forced to, because of the quarantine and the distancing, of different ways for parents to get this information just right at their fingertips. But Gary, what I'm most blown away with, what I didn't know you guys were doing, was this course. You know, when I became, you know, a technician, it was a 3-4 day course, which was pretty intense. And it's really hard to escape for that amount of days from your family. But for me, it was worth it. But I have so many friends. I mean, my sister became a certified technician because she was so inspired and is now, you know, working in Louisiana. But for so many parents who are interested and want to go a little bit deeper and really get that information, this is brilliant. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
We really
want to do it.
Yeah, it's something, and it doesn't make you a CPST. I will say that.
Yes.
Good first step to give you a lot of this information that's going to be valuable for you as your kids grow and as your friends and you become a grandparent or are a grandparent. So we really recommend using that as well. And I think in the last few minutes that we have, I think maybe we'll just go to a few quick questions because we are getting some people asking questions, which we really, really appreciate. And actually, here's one that we haven't dealt with, but I will put it up here. How important is it to register your car seat? Suzanne, do you want to take that one, or Ali?
Sure, I can. Yeah, the registration card is very simple to fill out. And if you place that in the mail, the manufacturer of your child restraint will contact you in case they need to reach you about something regarding their product that you purchased, and for nothing more than that. So if there's ever an engineering issue or a safety issue that they need to reach their customer base, that's the purpose of that card. And I highly encourage you to fill that out when you buy a car seat and submit that in the mail.
And it takes
or do it online.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how important would you say it is?
A 10.
Nice.
Wow.
And it takes a minute. It takes a minute, but you get the information that could really make a difference. We have these great stories about parents who registered their car seat, found out about a recall, fixed their seat, and then unfortunately was in a crash a couple weeks later, and their child was totally safe. So it can
incredible.
Really, things can make a difference. Let's see what else we've got. I've heard different things about used car seats. Are they okay to use? It's a good question. Christine? Suzanne?
Yeah, so a used car seat is something that we recommend not to do that since it's hard to tell with the history of that child restraint. And then knowing also that child restraints do have an expiration date. It's labeled on the actual restraint that you have purchased. And it's specified based on what the manufacturer's length of use is on that restraint. So we encourage to not reuse, especially since you can't confirm perhaps if it's ever been in a crash or it could be missing some pieces to it, et cetera. So.
Great. And Suzanne, I'll just piggyback on that. So if there is an accident or a crash, shouldn't you check, is there a way, do you check your car seat or do you replace that car seat because you don't really know if there was damage in that seat during that crash?
Suzanne, Ali was asking, what if you are in a crash, even a small one, how important is it to check your seat at that point because you don't know if there was structural damage to the seat or not?
Or replace it.
Yeah.
Or even replace it.
Agreed. And I think it's something that I would advise everyone that has that experience, do talk to your insurance company and do talk to the manufacturer of the child restraint to get the best advice and guidance on that.
Great. Well, okay. Well, we've got, for everyone else who put up questions, we promise we will get to those. You can go back on our Facebook page and we will answer them in the Facebook comments. Ali, do you have anything else, any final words, anything else you'd like to say to everybody?
Well, one, I'm just so happy that people, joined us here today. You're taking incredible steps to keep your children as safe as possible in their car seat, in your car. So that's always inspiring to me, moms who are seeking out this information. I love it. Suzanne, you're incredible. Thank you so much for that invaluable information for all of us, just the simple tips and even the mistakes that, we often make. And GM, I'm just so impressed that they have this whole center dedicated to the safety of our children. That makes me feel so good as a consumer. And again, just for you guys, for Safe Kids, for always giving us as parents and caregivers just this incredible wealth of information, constantly changing. And you're such an incredible resource for us. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank both of you so much for all of your expertise and your inspiration and just being amazing moms to your kids, but also really role models for all of us in terms of how to get information and use it to keep our kids safe. We cannot thank you enough. I could probably talk for the next 15 minutes about it, but I won't. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Please keep those comments coming, and everyone enjoy yourself and be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.